Hello, my name is Susan Rushton and this is Olio. And as always, before I go any farther, I want to explain what Olio is. Olio is short for olla podrida, which is Spanish for rotten bowl, which is something I really love. It's Spanish for Portuguese dish with pork, bacon, sausage, chicken, chickpeas, cabbage, carrots, pig's ears, and of course onions and garlic. As in other words, everything in the world except Brussels sprouts and Snickers. That's one definition. Olio is also part of melodrama. You might have in between parts of melodrama. You have might have somebody a singer, might have somebody juggling, telling jokes, etc. In other words, it's apples, oranges, and a monkey wrench. So welcome to my monkey wrench. Today, I'm talking with my good friend KW Rice. KW, I'm really happy you're here. KW is going to, we're going to talk, even though we are in Auburn, we are going to talk about something deeply that KW is fascinated and loving with in Foresthill. Granted, Foresthill is not Auburn, but it's close to Auburn. And since he lives in Auburn and loves Foresthill and wants this information to be all over the place, that's why I'm having him.
Thank you.
Yeah. So KW Rice, if you are interested in finding more about what we're going to talk about, his email is sign, SIGN, ADSERV @foothill.net. And, okay, we'll talk about other things later. So again, sign, add, serve @foothill.net.
No E in the serve.
Right. No E in the serve. So, KW, how long did you live in Foresthill?
Well, I still live there part-time. It's always in my heart. I moved up there and started living there just over 24 years ago.
Okay.
I'm still very close. I go to church up there. I have friends up there. I'm involved with groups up there. And my house is still there.
Okay.
Which I get to stay in part-time.
Yeah. All right. And so we are going to talk about something called, an organization called the International Order of Odd Fellows. International Order of Odd Fellows. And if you want to learn more, Google Foresthill Independent Order of Odd Fellows, or Gmail is LOOF73FH@gmail.com. It's the Covenant Lodge number 73. So what is this? What is the...
Okay, it is IOOF, and that stands for Independent Order of Odd Fellows.
Okay.
Each lodge is independent. When we started here in the Americas, after the USA became a country, it had already been very popular in Europe. When they started the lodges here in the States, they wanted to remind themselves that they were independent of Mother England. So that's why we are the Independent Order of Odd Fellows.
So it's really old. It's like 200 years old.
Oh, it's
perhaps.
way older than that.
Oh.
Rumor and legend has it that it might go back to the time of the ancient tribes of Israel, during the time of the Diaspora, when the...
Oh, you're just saying that.
Yeah, I am. But it's TV, I'm entertaining. That's what you asked me to do. But there are legends that it started with the tribe of Benjamin trying to help the enslaved people survive when they had no home.
Wow.
And then another myth or legend goes to the time of the Crusades, when I forgot the name of the Knights Order, but they did the same thing that Odd Fellows do now, which was bury the dead, take over their fallen comrades, and when they got back home, they looked after the widow and educated the orphan, which is still what Odd Fellows do today.
So it's a charming organization.
Yeah, and it started officially in England, Wales actually, in the 1700s,
Okay.
when it was the officially name. Nobody even knows how we got the name Odd Fellows. Another thing I'll say that I'm just saying it, but there's a very good story that people would see people helping each other do a barn raising or something like that, and they would say, well, look at those odd fellows. So that's just another good story, but we don't really know where the name officially came from. It's two different words, odd and fellows. It's similar to Masons and different from Masons. They started at a similar time. The Masons are a little bit older. We have our rituals and secret handshakes and passwords, and that goes back to the time when they were Odd Fellows are a fraternal philanthropic organization. Which means that they're a brotherhood. We now are not just based with men only, of course, but it was at that time men only. And looking after, they were the social services of that time. They took care of the widows and the orphans. They did things, but now with community social services have become much more of what our community and our government does for us. But
this is really a lovely thing, lovely group. That's great.
Yes, and I'm being
charming.
I'm being re-charmed by it recently too.
What do you mean?
Well,
why?
Because I've taken on this, I don't want to say task, it's almost become an obsession trying to save our building. And I've become so involved with it, I've become feeling overwhelmed. I don't know if you ever felt that way.
Yes.
And we just lost our youngest, almost newest member just last week. And it just suddenly he's gone. But one of the things he said to me, because I was working so hard on the building, Odd Fellowship is more than just a building. And
yes.
Now that he's gone, it kind of brings tears to my eyes. And I'm going to visit other lodges and seeing other Odd Fellows and realizing we're struggling like most service organization fraternities are, but we still manage to do amazing things. And I just went to a meeting last night of a lodge in Roseville, and they're a small group, but they do so much for their community. Up in Auburn, the Odd Fellows up there are I'm the Odd Fellows up there. Never mind about that. Fupa. Cut. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
All right.
So you were talking about the building.
Oh, yes, I did.
There's this building, this gigantic building.
I have I don't know if this will work or not, but you were up there. We had some people from the press come up. And Christina Richter, who's a historian and volunteer and member of the Historical Foundation, came up there and wrote a little magazine article. This is our building here as it looked before the devastation. You can see...
Devastation, what's the matter?
Well, okay, I'll show you. This is before. You can see the porch and the roof and everything here. That's the way it looked up until fairly recently.
2020?
Well, about 15 years ago, a strange act of God came through our town and peeled back the roof. It's a steel roof. It was originally a sod roof. It just peeled that roof back like a sardine can. It was,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it was during a crazy storm.
Winter?
It was kind of in between. It was a crazy wind. I mean, it made the news because of this really weird thing that happened in our little town. It didn't happen anywhere else, so we weren't available for any FEMA help. But we're a small town, and the volunteer fire department came and rescued everything because there is so much history inside that building. So they're in there with the water coming through the roof that's going through the floor into the buildings down below, electrical wires to worry about, and they boxed and bagged all that stuff up with nobody asking them and saved our records from. That's what kind of a town it is, and that's just another thing I love about this town. Everybody helps everybody. It really is special. Yeah.
Okay, and so what you're doing now is what?
Oh, well, about 4 years ago, we got a phone call that somebody heard a big thump and a group of bricks fell down in front of our building. It's a 2-story brick building built in the 1850s, 1860s. And you can see where the plywood is there now. That's where the bricks fell down.
Oh,
So
dear.
downstairs is where our tenants were who pay us rent so we can do what we do as Odd Fellows. So we've had to ask our tenants to leave, put up a construction fence for safety's sake until we can find out what happened. We did learn that there was a small earthquake in Reno the night before. Why a bunch of bricks fell down 8 hours later, I mean, it's who knows why. We've reached out. I've gotten involved with so many things since I've taken this on. Am I talking too fast?
No.
Okay. I'm supposed to be looking at the camera instead of looking at
Not
the floor.
necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Why does it mean so much to you?
Because what this town means to me and what this building means to the town, I've started writing articles into our local paper. We have a fine little paper up there, the Foresthill Messenger. You've helped me with my writing, and I appreciate that. She's a pretty good writer, you probably all know. In fact, you got me involved with writing, and you got me involved with community. When I started reading your articles, when I first moved up here 24 years ago, you wrote about community, and I mean, I started going to the movies, my mom and I, and just...
What movies?
That would be Silver Screen.
Classic
and coming this Saturday to the library near you.
Yes.
And thank you for that, because the more I've done in Foresthill and the more I've gotten involved, the more feeling I've got. It's something I never really experienced where I lived in Southern California. If you saw your neighbors, you waved at them, but you didn't really talk to them or anything like that. Here, I mean, I still might not know their names because I'm so poor with names, but people smile at me up there. It kind of reminds me of Mayberry RFD. That's kind of what people help out people out there.
A great community.
It really is. It's a small town, and it's just a...
People are taking care of people.
People taking it. The Lions up there are a powerful force as far as helping out with that town. It's a small town, and they do so much because that's what Lions do. They serve, and they take their mantra seriously to take that serve. Speaking of mantras, the motto for Odd Fellows is friendship, love, and truth.
Friendship, love, and truth.
Yeah, in fact.
Oh, I like that.
It's, I think we got a picture here. Well, there's probably won't show up, but they are the 3 links here, part of a chain, but they're held together. Friendship, love, and truth.
Hold it a little higher.
That's what that's what we base on.
Okay.
And I am an odd fellow.
I know that.
But that's how we close our meetings all over the world, maybe in a different language. It's our closing valediction, in which we reaffirm our covenant to make ourselves better, to help better mankind, and still to bury the dead, educate the orphan, and take care of the widow. Mm-hmm. Some things have not changed. The valediction is pretty darn special.
That's wonderful.
It really truly is.
That's charming.
Thank you.
Now, so the building isn't being used necessarily anymore.
No.
But you want it to be used.
Yes.
The group wants it to be used, and I think
the town wants to be used.
Foresthill wants to be it.
We thought we had, when this started about 4 years ago, we thought we had money helping us out with Grand Lodge of California. They're having their own problems, so we don't have that as a resource anymore. We're looking, the town has, once we realized that, we reached out to town. They knew about it, but now that there's a fence up there, we wanted to let them more about what's going on. We've received enough donations to bring in Optimum Seismic. They're
Optimum Seismic. What does that mean?
They are a well-regarded earthquake retrofit company. They do big buildings, historical buildings, and we've had them come up with their draftsmen, do as-is plans for everything. We went down from the basements to the attics, crawling around like well, I don't want to use the wrong word, like people crawling around in mud and dirt. And then last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, engineer came with their spokesperson and did the same thing, and he said 2 things that were very encouraging. Twice he said, it's not as bad as I thought.
Oh,
that would
good. that's
There's still a lot to be done. I
encouraging.
don't know, we still are not ready to occupy it, so they will be putting together a plan, and maybe more engineers will be coming, and then we'll have a dollar amount of what we might need, hopefully incremental, to get the building occupied, because we can't do it on our own, the town can't be doing it on our own. If people do send checks to Covenant Odd Fellows 73 at Box 347, Forest Hill, California, 95631. We are not a 501c3. We are a not-for-profit, but we are a fraternal order. So if they do make those deductions, as of right now, they are not tax deductible. We are looking into umbrella groups of 501c3s, and also possibly setting up our own 501c3. I've gotten involved with the historical societies in Forest Hill, Placer County. Supervisor Gustafson's been very helpful, set me up with some meetings with the Office of Economic Opportunity here in Placer. But because we are fraternal organizations, sadly we are not welcome to some of these grants for some reason. I don't really understand why, so that's why we're looking into umbrella groups and possibly doing our own 501c3. I've taken about 8 community classes on not-for-profits and
Wow.
things like that, so
Okay.
it's been an education process all the way.
Your heart is really working hard. Wow.
Thank you.
Okay. So what someone can offer help, money or enthusiastic or their hands. Maybe not their hands, but money.
Yeah, as far as emails, if people would like to email, it's probably better if they mail it to ioof73fh@gmail.com. ioof73fh@gmail.com. Did I say that right? I hope so.
Yeah. IOL. L or
I-O-
I?
Yeah.
IOOF73FH@gmail.com.
Which stands for Independent Order of Odd Fellows 73. That's our lodge number at Forest Hill. In fact, that's why we are the 73rd lodge in California.
Okay.
That's why we're first lodge. When the Odd Fellows started spreading west, especially because of the gold rush, the first one is San Francisco Lodge number 1.
Mm-hmm.
The next lodge is Sacramento Lodge number 2. Auburn's a very old lodge. I believe they're lodge number 3, but they don't have the old building that we have.
Yeah.
So there were all sorts of, during the pioneer gold mining days, there were all sorts of towns up where Forest Hill is
Sure.
now. As the gold petered out, all these towns had their own Odd Fellows building, their own Odd Fellow lodges to get together and do what family does and help out for each other. But as the gold petered out, those towns went away. Bath is gone, Deadwood is gone, and what those lodges did is they consolidated and they took over this building and built the second story in the 1850s and 1860s. That building's been, well, it was until it recently continually occupied since 1861.
Yeah. And it's gigantic, you guys. it's amazing.
It's a
And
beautiful
it's
place.
Elegant, even though it's old and in trouble. It's elegant. It's an elegant place, and it needs help.
Yeah, when I started visiting up there before I moved up there, visiting my mom and dad, and they had bingo games in the community room upstairs, and I go, well, who are these people? And they're so fun to be with and so helpful, like the whole town is. And then when I moved up there, I said, well, people tell me I have a voice. I wouldn't like to call bingo and do B1 and B2 and
So
stuff
you
like.
did?
So I did, but to do that, I had to become an Odd Fellow. 2 of those people back then
How lucky.
was Moose, a monster of a man, but heart as big as his body was, and then Artie Johnson, longtime Odd Fellow. They're both gone now, but he gave me a tour of this building, which are lodges. Some people call it a sanctuary, because when you go in there, it's like going back in time. I think you might have a sense of what I'm talking about. We do have electricity and running water now. we do. But we still have the old, they're now propane stoves, but they used to be kerosene burners. We have electric lights. But the charter, we still have the charter on the wall from 1861.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff, all made by hand, because they did things so well back then. Beautiful wood, beautiful gold. In fact, that engineer, when I was taking him around the building, he was thanking me. He was almost in awe of seeing how well this place was
Wonderful.
built. And when they stepped inside the lodge, I wanted them to see what this is all about. I think they had a sense of reverence too.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people go in there who take their hat off, because it's like a time machine, folks. You go in there and it's like, it's hard to describe.
No,
I hope I could bring you in there.
You've described it.
Yeah.
You've described it, KW. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Can you give me names of people who once were involved that we might recognize?
I can. I have some notes here, because
I'm not surprised.
Okay. First of all, people don't become odd fellows to become famous. They become odd fellows to help themselves. But I was surprised when I knew that I might be asked this question to look it up. Locally, the most well-known would be Schuyler Colfax, who the town of Colfax was named after. He was our vice president for U.S. Grant. U.S. Grant was an odd fellow.
Oh my!
We've had quite a few presidents were odd fellows, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, around most well-known name.
Yeah.
U.S. Ulysses S. Grant, another president. Rutherford Hayes, Warren Harding, those were other ones. Lawmen, Wyatt Earp was an odd fellow. In Great Britain, we have Charlie Chaplin and Winston Churchill.
Oh.
So you don't know they're odd fellows, but I was just like, okay. But knowing those people and who they were, they do have some of those traits of being a better human. Another local aspect of Odd Fellows would be Henry Ford, believe it or not.
Oh.
He had friends and family up in Forest Hill. He tried to make a drive up there to visit them, took his private train to Auburn, and I heard two stories. One
was fake, and one
one was he drove an Oldsmobile, and one was he drove a Buick, but he didn't drive a Ford. Visit family up in Forest Hill, and he's an odd fellow. He went to meetings, signed their books back up there. Then there are still Fords up there, and there are many Fords in the cemetery up there.
Wow.
Charles Lindbergh, he was an odd fellow.
My goodness.
More recently would be Red Skelton and Burl Ives, excuse me. You know, Frosty the Snowman.
So, gee, and are there people who don't know in Forest Hill about this place?
Probably. I mean, and unfortunately, it's a small town, so rumors spread. We wrote an article for the paper talking about what's going on, and people didn't bother to read the article, and they went into panic mode, starting other rumors that it's being torn down. Mm-hmm. We're doing everything we can to, not tear it down.
Yeah.
Somebody said the bricks are more valuable than the property is. So
the bricks? Because they're so old?
Yes,
I guess.
And they're bricks, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the property's not so expensive in Forest Hill right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small town, but yeah, so people want to say that people remember going there as little. I met a lady last night at that other Odd Fellows meeting in Roseville. She went to that building when she's probably in her 70s now. She went to that building when she's 3 months old.
Oh,
so
my.
She knows more about that place than I do, and I just met her last night. That was pretty neat. Thank you, Phoebe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, because of that, there are people who don't know or saying rumors. I've been out there, I'm working on the fence, and they come out and say, are you tearing this building? No, we're doing everything we can not to tear that down.
Yeah.
But bad news travels fast. So,
yeah. And
that's why I keep writing articles for our paper up there.
Good. Maybe you should write something for the Auburn.
I did write something, and it did get published. Thank you.
Did I?
That was quite some time ago. Might have been,
okay.
yeah,
I don't
8
think I
months ago.
saw it.
Yeah, okay.
I apologize.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
It might have been the same article I wrote for the Messenger.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
Okay.
I do see things in the Messenger like, I just read that in the Auburn Journal. It probably was in the Sacramento Bee too. I didn't know the press shared things so much, but it's kind of nice, yeah.
Yeah. So there's some of us may not have ever been to Foresthill. Some of us who are brand new might not have been to Foresthill. It's small. It's on the way to someplace else.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Okay.
Foresthill is kind of unique. There's only one way in and one way out. That's why growth has to be careful. If there's we had a really bad forest fire just over a year ago. We lost only one home in Foresthill and a few outbuildings. The next town next to us had quite a few. I have quite a few people still haven't had their homes. We are in a fire area. That's why when the building was built, it was built with brick and steel doors and a sod roof, so it could survive fires. Part of the town did burn pretty badly, not in my lifetime, but quite some time ago. But it's a beautiful town. When describing it, I say it's got when I go up there, when I go home after work, it's taken. My brother described it as the longest driveway. It's a 17-mile drive up this hill. It's a little windy. It's much better than it used to be.
It's less windy than it used to be.
Yes. There, thank you. Yeah. You go over the tallest bridge in California, the Foresthill Bridge, and it's kind of a landmark. It's been seen in more than one movie.
Yeah.
And then once you go up there, you can just feel things change. Things get greener. Right now it's a beautiful time. Winter hasn't really hit. The leaves are changing up there. Springtime's the same way. When you drive up there, you can see the things change. You make one curve and you can just feel the temperature drop about 5 degrees. And if you open your window during the summer, you open your window, you can just smell the vegetation. It's a beautiful place to live. We have a wonderful park with swimming pool. It's all community operated, and if you want to go up there, there's all sorts of fishing and hiking up there, hunting. It really is quite a town. And the library. We have a small but powerful library in our town too. It's really a neat place. When I first moved up there, my mom was taking me around and she wanted me to see the market. They were so proud because they have a market there now. It's not your Bel Air, but it's a nice market. It's called Wharton's Market. It's got a beautiful view over the valley.
Yeah.
We can see, what's the next town on the other side of that? Cool. You can see Cool from on the other side of our hill. And a beautiful valley. It's just really place. They have a nice deli. It's just
so be careful. You might fall in love with Foresthill, like K.W. Rice has fallen in love.
Yeah, there's the Chamber of Commerce. They can go to their website. If you want any questions about our building, once again, ioof73fh@gmail.com.
Yeah. Or you can go to write Foresthill Odd Fellows, P.O. Box 347, Foresthill, CA 95631. KW.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for thank you for joining me, and I appreciate your watching. And if you have any loving feeling at all for Foresthill, you might want to help them help the International Order of Odd Fellows.
Independent order.
Independent. I wrote it down wrong. Independent Order of Odd.
That's easy for me to say.
Independent Order of Odd Fellows. They would like your money or your information.
If you do come up to Foresthill, it's just one road. There's no stop signs, no stop signals, no turn signals. It's like I say, a beautiful drive. You'll come into town. and it's not a long town. It's about 2 miles long, and our building is near the end of town, and it's very easy to see because it's one of only two-story buildings, and it's a big brick building on your left. We have 3 schools. How's that for a small town?
That's wonderful.
We built a high school up there a
Yeah.
few years back, middle school, and
Yeah.
elementary school. Symphony goes to town from the Auburn Symphony. Is
That's
coming up to visit us
Good.
at the school in January. So it's really a wonderful community. Come on up and see what small town life is like. You'll really like it up there.
Okay. Thank you, KW, and thank you for watching.